Christine thinks we're a little too stuffy.
All right, so A, B, C, just testing this thing, making sure the sound is good. All right.
We want you to record kind of an intro.
Brian, is that how you're gonna talk?
No, Brian has like a booming.
Yeah, I'm louder than crap.
Yeah. So talk like you're gonna talk because she's checking your mic.
So tell us about this PEO program you got, Jeremy. Is that all right?
Okay, Jeremy, go ahead and talk now.
Well, let me tell you about the PPPPEO,
What's a PO?
EIO, and the farmer. I just want my own cartoon character.
Yeah. Oh, we should.
I mean,
I don't know what it took to get that, so I was like, we should have the guests all cartoon characters. Yeah.
who did those?
Right, I'd like to welcome everybody to Talking Business. This is our inaugural show. We're excited to be here. I am Brian Magleby with the Idaho Innovation Center.
And I'm Tyler Price with the SBDC.
And we're excited to be here. We have got an exciting show, not only today, but we just wanted to kind of talk about what we're going to be doing in the future. We're going to be, the goal of this show is to pull in some key business people. And we've got every Tuesday from 12 to 1. You can just bank on it that we're going to be on. If you don't have time to check us out during the lunch hour, we encourage you to grab a lunch and just enjoy the show. We're going to be having some fun with some guests. And tell us about some of the people that we got scheduled to come on here in the next couple months.
Well, and today we have Jeremy Hicks with BBSI, we have Christine Gardner, we have Sean Perkins, and those guys are doing cool stuff. There's Shelley Jorgensen, we have the Dean of the Community College, now I'm spacing his name, Amon,
Mr. Amon.
Rick. We're looking to get some of our senators and congressmen, both local and our Washington, D.C. guys, if they're not being held under hostage.
Yes, the CEO of the Idaho Technology Council, the Department of Commerce people, the Department of Labor. We're going to have all sorts of government people that can help us. We're going to have a lot of people that are going to be on here every week. We're going to talk about what's new with PPP, with COVID and things like that. We'll be having actually the Department of Health one week, along with our county commissioner, Brian Reed. We've got scheduled, I think, in February. And we're excited. We're going to have some interesting topics. And our goal is that we can get a lot of information out there during these challenging times as we all rebound from the COVID that we've had. We've all had to pivot. And we're going to talk probably a lot on this show about pivoting. And we've had to do that, and this show is what's come about because of COVID, and we've all gotten used to having meetings via Zoom, and we're going to continue to do that. The good news is that if you're not able to watch it here when we're live, we're going to be posting it on our website. What's the website?
So it's Talkin' Business, so TALKIN-business.com. Thanks for throwing that up there, Alan. And then also it'll be on, we are creating our YouTube channel is there, and our social media channels as well. So we encourage you to join us on Facebook, on the Talkin' Business Facebook site as well.
Yep, so Tyler got that set up, and we sent out quite a few invitations yesterday, and we've already got a couple hundred people that have joined us on there. So
you don't want to miss out.
Yep, so we'll be posting every week who our guests are. And we're excited. We've got a great schedule of speakers that we'll be interviewing in the future. And then if you don't get it, we'll be posting it on our Facebook page, like Tyler said, YouTube, Instagram. We'll have it in many places that you can listen to it after the fact. So,
and just maybe briefly, Brian was on a call today about PPP. There is a second round that's starting. If you're a business that needs it, and I should let Brian maybe talk a little bit about it, but we do have to get to guests who are far more interesting than Brian and I.
Yes.
But what was that call like today?
It was with the SBA, and I can tell you there's a lot of things coming out this week. Round 2 has started this week. Now they're doing a slower launch on this second round, and it's going to be, but there's a lot of details. And in coming weeks, we will have guests on the show that we will talk all of those details. I spent an hour on a Zoom call this morning with the SBA, and I've got some of my notes here, but there's a lot of things that's changing with the second round that we're going to really be looking forward to getting information out to the businesses here in Idaho about the changes with that and any of the changes with the COVID EIDL funds and everything like that.
Well, great. Well, honestly, I think we should maybe shut up a little bit. And, we want to give a shout out to Jeremy Hicks with BBSI for being the one guy that believed in what Brian and I are doing as sponsors. I know we'll get some more sponsors on this thing, but this isn't two guys in a basement with our 12-year-old kids filming us. This is an actual production that costs money.
Andex has put on quite the show here.
Yep. And shout out to Volpine for their support. small
getting our
business.
website up and
Yep.
going last week, and I would encourage everybody during the show to go to our website, check it out. It's not quite complete, but it'll have a spot on there that you can register, and you'll just automatically get an email every week of who the guests are on our show. And but you're going to want to go to that talkin-business.com. And because there's going to be a trivia question today, so you might want to check out that
You may want to
site.
go to that site right now on another screen while you're watching us.
It is, but we're excited to have BBSI as one of our main sponsors, and BBSI is a leader in business here in the area, and the guy that's taken that business to the next level over the last 5 to 7 years, I think, 8. 10 years, 10 years. So is Jeremy Hicks, and he's going to be our first guest here on the show. We're excited. He has the radio voice, the TV voice, and so we're excited. Come on in, Jeremy. As the applause happens, so there you go.
Sorry, I blew that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on.
And Jeremy, probably in another life, you were a supermodel. On top of that, a goat farmer at one point. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So, but before BBSI, you were a small business owner, and you did some headhunting and different things like that. So what attracted you to BBSI, and maybe what is BBSI?
Yeah, so having owned small businesses in the past, and I really didn't know what BBSI was. So
Yeah.
my little brother actually also works for BBSI. He runs our Orem, Utah branch. And he called me one day and was like, hey, they're looking for somebody. And I'm like, what do you do? Like, are you a staffing company or like what's the deal? And so anyway, long story short, I had the opportunity to meet the CEO of the organization and just his vision for helping small businesses be successful and the lonely path that sometimes small business ownership, is, and kind of the vision of where he wanted to take the company. He had just become CEO. Really resonated with me. I actually, when I was interviewing with him, still had my small business, and I was like, yeah, I know what you're saying.
I need to sign up.
Yeah. And so anyway, long story, I believed in that vision and took it, and it's been a fun ride. So.
Yeah. Well, that's great, because it is. If you have a small business, there's so many hats that you have to wear. My wife and I, when we started our trade school almost 13, 14 years ago, I should know the answer to that, but it's been a blur, right? But we were the salespeople, we were the accounting people, we were running the show on every Sunday. We deep cleaned the bathrooms. I mean, we were the everything, right? So what are some of the services that a small business company can look for in coming and talking to BBSI?
Yeah, so we really take a team approach to how we do things. And so my team there at BBSI consists of what we call business partners. So the business partner is more working with them on the strategy side of the business. Right. And so myself and Jared Oviatt, if you know Jared, fill those two roles. He is. Yeah. He's been awesome. He's been there over a year now. And we'll be hiring another one hopefully here in the next 6 to 8 months or so. Yeah. And then an HR consultant, safety and risk consultant, and then a payroll specialist, and then our recruiting and staffing team. Yeah. So when you think of all of those things and combining that with not just saying, oh, you need HR, right? Because as a small business owner, I mean, does Tyler Price, he needs HR, but does he want it, and does he understand?
I'm violating every HR rule that I can think of. So.
And so, when you say that, it's like, what does that mean? And so where we really dive in and try to help the small business owner is to understand really what are you trying to get done, what's working, what's not working, where are there gaps, and then just help you fill those. So when you look at something like, all right, I'm 6 months out from hiring my next team member, and this is what I want it to look like. We can help you create that strategy for both the recruiting, the retention. What is it going to take to get this person and keep this person, and
job descriptions,
and really just helping you strategize around all of that, right? Not just compliance, but what does that look like to come and work at your place, right? What's the culture of your environment look like, and how can we help you improve that? So,
but that is holding them to the standard that this is what a business needs to be, not just hurry up and hire and put them somewhere and hope that they figure it out. So there's a lot of structure that's being given that the entrepreneurs that as they're first starting out really don't always necessarily have the time to be devoted to. If they haven't figured it out, figuring it on the fly is a bad idea, right?
Yes. Yeah. And really what our goal is to let them be the expert and let them do what they do really well. So, if you're a plumber or electrician,
Yeah.
I want you to figure out, because there's a lot of opportunity out there right now for somebody in the trades, for instance, right? I want you to be able to spend time figuring out how to continue to grow and expand your business, and let us help support you from the workers' comp side of things, the compliance side of things, the safety and risk side of things, because I don't want you to go out and get an employee hurt and have your premiums go up and have that cost you a bunch of money, and you're like, I just wanted to be a really good plumber.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't know there was going to be all this other stuff with
Yeah.
it. And that's where we can really dive in. And help.
I think one of the key things that you just mentioned there is that we as consultants with the Small Business Development Center, we work with a lot with companies that instead of working in their business, they're working on, and a lot of people don't have time to really do those kind of trivial things that your company makes sure that people are covered for. Is that right?
Yeah, and I've always been a big advocate. Surround yourself with experts, and then be the expert, for what you do. And the issue, I always hear it, I hear it a lot, is I can't afford it.
Yeah.
I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to do that. Well, if you're spending all your time on some of that stuff, you'll never save your way to prosperity, right? And
Yeah.
so you've got to figure out how to invest back into yourself and in your business. And we fill some of those roles and those opportunities.
So when I walk into our monthly staff meeting, one of the things that I'm relieved about is that I'm not the smartest guy in the room, because if that's the case, then again, you have not found the right people to run your organization too. So,
Absolutely.
so you do staffing, right? What's
do.
one of the challenges that you faced during COVID with staffing?
Yeah, staffing's been tough. We're really good at it. We're one of the largest, staffing agencies, if you will, is that part of what we do. I would say the biggest struggle has been getting people to show up to work. We pre-COVID could fill about 98% of all the job orders that we had, and I think as of last week we were running about 80%. So it's just been a tough thing to with the additional unemployment, people going in and out of being sick and truly fighting that battle a little bit with their family, or kids out of school, and my kids aren't in school, and so I got to be home to make sure my kids are getting their homework done and their online school. So it's just been a tough run to get people to get there and show up.
Yeah.
It's getting a little better.
Right.
But yeah, if you know anybody.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
We're
one
always
thing
looking for people.
I was going to ask is if people are looking for employment right now. So it's not just that you're working with businesses, but you're working for people, or your clients are also people looking for employment. So if
Yeah.
someone is looking for employment, they should come and talk to BBSI.
Yeah.
And they just walk in, or what happens?
Yeah, they can come any time to the office down to Snake River Landing between 9 and 4 and fill out an application. We have everything from short-term, part-time, assignments to more temp to hire, long-term. Most of the companies we work with, if you're there and you show up and you're doing a great job, they want to hire you, right? So most of them are working towards that. Idaho is, I just saw a thing, if you follow Grant Cardone, of all people, but he posted on his story yesterday, Idaho was the top job recovery, and we have the lowest unemployment in the whole country.
That's great.
And so it's awesome. Employers need people.
Yeah.
And so there's great opportunities out there if you're looking to upgrade your job. I mean, it's a good market right now. So.
Give people kind of an idea of the size of companies. Do you work with startups, with some people in startups, or do you work mainly with larger, companies?
Yeah, great question. Everything and in between. So our largest client is a large multi-state electrical contractor. Our smallest is, we have a couple that have 1 or 2 employees.
Yeah.
So, everywhere in between. Our goal is obviously if you've got 1 or 2 employees, I'm not making a ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we can help you grow, and we see that success and that opportunity, we're all about that, right? We want to see those companies that have a vision and a future, and if we can have a support system built in for them around the payroll and the HR and the strategy side, and see them at 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 employees down the road, we're thrilled with that.
There's so many companies out there that spend so much time taking care of HR manuals and hiring and firing and stuff like that. That I encourage businesses that are anywhere that if they have under 10 employees, they shouldn't be doing all that kind of work. They should be using a service like yours.
Yeah. And I've talked with you about things before in terms of hiring. And the thing one thing that kind of, I guess, resonated, or at least I appreciated, it wasn't just about getting employees for the businesses. You've gone to the businesses and said to them, you guys need to up your game.
Yeah.
You need to up your pay, you need to up your benefits, you need to up your game, right? So it isn't just, hey, it's we're here, we just want you, you're a resource that we're just gonna suck dry and then kick to the curb. You guys are looking really as almost like a mediator between the two to get the best scenario and get the best production that they need, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, as we've grown, we've learned that not every client is a good client. Just because they'll give you money doesn't mean that they're fun. And so, I mean, we have those hard conversations sometimes with clients to say, we've got to figure out how to improve your culture. You know, you've got to pay more. This is kind of the industry standard, and we'll do that research. We'll give them that knowledge, and so that they can make decisions to understand what they need to do to recruit and retain, you know, the best employees. Right. And we have some great case studies that have just shown that if employers will do that, they're going to make more money.
Yeah. Now, shifting gears a little bit, and I know you don't deal directly with it, but you do have some understanding of it. You know, during this time, the PPP rolled out, and in the first rounds, well, there was PPP, there was EIDL, there were grants, there were Idaho grants, there were all these things, but it wasn't like you just got to show up and say, give me the money. You had to fill some stuff out, and you worked with your clients on doing that then, right?
Yeah, we went into student mode really fast and learned a lot about
Everybody
things
had
that,
to.
that nobody knew anything about a few months before. And our clients really appreciated that value, I think, that we were able to provide. We had all the payroll information,
Yeah.
and so being able to put those reports together, help them understand what that process looks like, what the forgiveness was going to look like, and just keeping on top of that was crucial to our success and our client's success to make it through that. So now we're kind of back to that second round and learning through that and what that looks like, so people can take advantage of that if it makes sense.
Yeah. And have you worked with some of your clients on the forgiveness side as well?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and how's that been?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a slow process, and you know, continually changing
Every
some
week
of the
changing.
things as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But you know, it appears that most people will be okay, and,
Yeah.
and if they've done things and tried to do it the right way, and you know that it'll work out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and Brian and I do work a lot with people that are just right about to launch or want to launch. And we sit down and we'll talk to them about some of the protection and getting set up with LLCs and websites and kind of their vision, and maybe give them some direction on some things and other people to go talk to. But when someone is wanting to launch a business, what's kind of the advice that BBSI, and what's the advice that Jeremy Hicks gives?
Yeah, so really it's two things. One is have a plan,
Yeah.
right? And so it's really easy. If you ever go look on the Idaho Business Registration website.
sos.idaho.gov.
So you can pull, you know, if you wanted to pull everybody that filed for a business registration in January, you can look at that. And you would be shocked at how many people jump in, register, I've got a name, right?
Yeah.
And they register, and then you never ever hear of that business ever again, right?
launching, yeah.
And I think a lot of times we get excited, we've got a product or service that we think we can take to market, and we're just going to go out and just go, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. I think the entrepreneurial spirit drives us to just go, but I think it's important that we step back and go, okay, what's some of the true expenses and costs? What's this going to look like? What's my potential revenue going to look like? What are the sources of funding that I'm going to need? What are potential things that I'm going to run up against? Because no matter how much you plan, there's going to be other things that come your way. And so if you don't even have a plan, man, it's so hard to get anywhere.
Hence why 95% of businesses are out within 5 years.
Yes.
If you don't, so if you're working with companies like BBSI and the SBDC, if you want to have your chances multiplied of being successful within the first year to 5 years, you've got to have a game plan, like Jeremy says, and you got to execute on it. So I think that's great advice. So one of the big things that businesses have learned to do over the last year is pivoting. Give us an idea of how BBSI has pivoted in their efforts of keeping in touch with their customers.
Yeah, we love being in person, right?
Yeah.
And so we do monthly lunch and learns where we pack our office full of people and do a training, you know, for supervisors or for owners around different topics. We do owner roundtables where we bring a group of owners together. We do these deep dives
to.
where we're where we're bringing in the owner and their management team and spending a whole afternoon. And so, when all of a sudden that was like turned off, right, and we had to really pivot. So a lot of it was getting understanding of use of this technology like we are today.
Yeah.
It was getting clients used to that. And it's still a struggle. It's not an easy thing to change to. The other one would be switching gears and learning all of this stuff that we didn't know anything about, like we talked about earlier with the PPP loans and other stuff, and really helping add some value to clients that way, because they were just dazed and confused for a little bit, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
can I be open? I mean, the first thing was, am I essential, right?
Yeah.
That was the first topic.
Don't get me on that word.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all going to be a whole show down the road. So
And we were getting calls like, can I be open and should I stay open? And just navigating and supporting there, I think, was really crucial. Funny story real quick. I had a client that was pushing me at the beginning of the year, like, I need to reduce my fees. I'm paying too much and da-da-da-da-da. And he called me back about June and was like, Jeremy, if you need to raise my fees back up, you guys have earned your money. And so just those pivots of changing, and I think that's important, just always looking at, everybody's had to do it, right? Where can I add value in this market today? And I think that's crucial to just figuring out, and we've had to do that, and we're doing it again in 2021 as we're looking at what is this going to look like over the next 6 months and next 12 months, and this kind of hybrid of, okay, we can be together, but we can't, right?
Yeah.
And what does that look like? Yeah. And trying to just have a plan to structure it so we can add value consistently to clients, I think is important. So.
No, that's great. I do see, well, and I don't know if this is a topic it's interesting, but like office space. I think that's something that's at jeopardy now with the way that we do it. Do you have a lot of clients that have office space, and have you heard their plans with that at all?
A little bit. So we had a call a little bit ago with a commercial real estate guy out of Boise, and yeah, there's a little bit of nervousness just around as the shift has changed to the remote workplace. Do we need as much office space? Do we need to have a cubicle for everybody, or could they do this from home? And we've seen a lot of businesses be pretty productive, their employees be pretty productive in working from that home environment. Some it didn't work.
Yeah.
And so just depending on kind of the industry and the business, I think you'll see a little bit of shift there for sure.
Because, I think if you can see, well, if we lose slight edge on production but save more in rent than what we've lost, that could be a philosophy that ends up hurting some of the office space, right?
I mean, even for us, we completely closed down the office for 3 or 4 weeks there. And I mean, we were doing daily calls. I thought we were like the most productive that we communicated really well. And it certainly shifts and it changes. And long term, I don't think that's the right answer for us.
Right.
But we were pretty productive.
Yeah,
So.
good.
very good. As we end out this segment with you, Jeremy, give us kind of one of your favorite. You are a leader in your business. But give us one of your favorite quotes that kind of you run your business by, that you run your life by. Kind of give us an idea. You've been very successful in the businesses that you've ran, and especially with BBSI, you've just done some amazing things over the last 10 years with them. And you're very prominent here in the community, and you can't get that way by not being a student of learning. So give us kind of one of your best quotes that you know.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of customer service and just how you get treated when you go. I drive my wife crazy at a restaurant or a retail store because I'm always evaluating, how they're treating everybody. But my quote would be, treat employees like they make a difference and they will. And that's by Jim Goodnight. Stephen Covey has one as well that says, treat your employees like you would want them to treat your best customer. And I think it's just crucial that as you grow your business, you're not always going to be the face of your company. You're not always going to have that one-on-one interaction with every customer that walks through the door with everybody else. And so really evaluating what's that going to look like when my technician is out there in a customer's home and talking to them. Are they going to treat that customer the same as I? Yeah. And the way you're going to get that is by treating those employees really well.
Yeah, very good.
Very good. And we've you probably read that. It's been up here right in front. We asked him beforehand, and we had it ready. But I hope that everybody takes Jeremy's advice here and treat your employees like they make a difference, and they will. And if you need any assistance out there with your payroll services and other things, I encourage you to reach out to Jeremy at BBSI. He is a mover and a shaker here in his business, and we appreciate his #1 sponsorship of getting this program up and going, and and we'll look forward to having him and some of his staff here on the show throughout the year. Now, if you have any questions, we forgot to mention this up front. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat bar. We will have a little bit of time at the very end that hopefully Jeremy will stick around with us, and we can maybe ask him some questions if there's some that we haven't come to. But if you have a question for any of our guests, put them in the chat box, and we're trying to monitor that as much as we can, and we will hopefully get an answer for you. So Jeremy, thank you so much, and we appreciate you being here today, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Proud to be on the inaugural show.
That's
so
right.
Thank you very
Inaugural
much.
guest,
You
too.
helped us
So-
kick it off. So.
So
Thank
very
you,
good.
guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Good deal. We're excited. We are going to be putting together some ads as we transition in between all of our guests, but we haven't got that quite done yet. But look forward to that coming in future shows. We'll be finalizing those today. Our next guest is Christine Garner. So with Envision Your Purpose. And so, Christine, come on up. Give her a hand, everybody. We got
Give her
everybody.
virtual claps.
Everybody. So Christine, we are excited to have you on our show.
Thank you.
This is I've had the opportunity of working with you in your other business with Teton Smart Security over the past few years. You were a great tenant at the Idaho Innovation Center.
Thank you.
Were there for many years, and you've moved out, graduated from the Innovation Center, and moved on. So give the guests here kind of a history of where you've been and where you're going.
Awesome. So in 2012, my husband and I started Teton Smart Security. It's a commercial security company, and we started it with the hopes that we could spend more time as a family together, because I was working in corporate America and I just barely had my first baby, and it was so difficult to try to juggle motherhood and never being in control of my schedule. And so we decided to start his dream of a commercial security company. And we thought, oh yeah, we're going to break even after a year, no problem.
Every business.
I know,
You guys
right?
are awesome.
And then 3 years down the road, my accountant sits us down and says, Christine, you've been making less than minimum wage for the last 3 years in your business. Now is the time to either shut your doors and get a regular paying job, because you were making a lot more money before you started this business, or figure out how to make this profitable. And I was like, what the freak do you think I've been doing? I've been trying to make this profitable this whole time. And, I was like, this is my fault, because I'm the salesperson here, right? Sean was on the operations end. And so yeah, we struggled. And through this process that I'm about to share with you, the strategy, I was able to climb my way out, because not only I felt like the option of closing my doors, it wasn't an option for me, because we had invested everything that we had into the business, and we had employees, and we had clients that were relying on us. And not only that, I just knew that my marriage could not survive a business failure. Like, we were always fighting, stressed about money and time and how to manage the business, and we allowed that to just drain the love that we had for each other. And I just knew there's no way that we could survive that business failure. And I was in terrible health, because I always took care of myself last. And so I was failing in my business and in my marriage and in my health, and I knew I had to do things differently.
I remember that conversation and working with you when you were told that, and I still remember, and working with you and meeting with you, quite often, and but the growth that you've experienced since that point has been what? To give us an idea of what kind of growth you've experienced since that point.
It's been phenomenal. I mean, we made less than minimum wage for the first 3 years in our business, and I always thought, man, wouldn't it be incredible to break 6 figures a year, right? And it took us about 2.5 years to break the 6-figure mark, and we were like happy as clowns.
Yeah,
That was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And then in a year and a half later is when we actually started breaking the 6-figure mark a month.
Wow.
And so
every
Yes.
year you've experienced at least 20 to, I think a minimum was 20% growth. And man, if every business out there, what that person did, and I know who told you that you had one option at, back then many years ago, and what you've done since then, every year you've experienced that same kind of growth. Is that right?
it's been incredible. Yes, we've been very blessed.
And what would you attribute the catalyst of, I mean, honestly, he was probably saying, go work at fast food over keep doing this, right? But what was
I would have made more money
yeah,
working in fast food.
what was the catalyst that either change in mindset or marketing trick, and there's no marketing tricks out there really, but what do you attribute the catalyst to the success?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. For me, it was, I knew that money wasn't motivating me because I wasn't doing my job. I wasn't doing my job of making the difficult phone calls or getting to know more contractors. I wasn't doing those things. And I was like, what is it that I need in order to do what it is I need to do? Because motivation wasn't showing up every day, and my willpower was very short. I had a very tiny, limited supply of that. And so I thought, what do I need to do differently? And for me, I knew I needed to tap into a deeper purpose.
Yeah.
Because there was a time in my life when I was dealing with even worse. I was in a worse situation. I was in a worse scenario. And I was like, what did I do back then that helped me get out?
Yeah.
How did I climb out of that hole? How did I escape that life? And how can I do that again? And it was my purpose. And so I knew that money wasn't motivating me, but I knew that saving my marriage did, because I grew up without a father figure, and just thinking about my children not having him in their lives 100% of the time broke my heart, and I just knew I need to be able to save my marriage. And as I did that, I held myself accountable to stop blaming him for all my problems. It was, hey, this is my problem. I am doing something terribly wrong here, and what do I need to do differently? And making more money in my business and doing what it is I needed to do in my business to alleviate the stress in my marriage, it was a byproduct of really working on my biggest commitment I've ever made in my life, which is my marriage.
Yeah.
So you are in the process of kind of transitioning out of kind of being the salesperson of your company, and tell us about the new things that you're going to be doing. We've got a brand new year of 2021 happening here, and so kind of tell us what you said you're all about you've determined what your purpose is. So tell us about your new envision your purpose.
Envision your purpose. So let me kind of give you a little bit of background on why it is that I started this. So it starts with my obsession for planning. Like, I am seriously obsessed. I love to plan my days, my weeks, my months, my quarters, my years. And I'll give you a little bit of backstory on why it is that I'm so obsessed with that. Is because as a child, from the age of 7 to 17, I was raised living in fear in a doomsday cult.
Wow.
So my mom met a man who claimed to be a prophet of God, and he said that everybody living on the West Coast was going to die first in just a few short months. And so if you wanted to save your family, then you needed to follow him. And my mom was like hook, line, and sinker. She did everything that she could to get us up, and we moved. And we followed him, and from the time of when I was 7 to 17, I lived in severe manipulation and fear, and they told me that I would never have the chance to graduate from high school or have a family or have a career because I was going to die at a young age. And so I never had the opportunity to really plan my life. And as I came to know who it is that I really was and who it is that my Heavenly Father really was, I knew that He wanted more for me. He had more in store for me than to just survive, because that's what they taught me. They're like, your best hope in life is to just survive doomsday. And I realized that my purpose was to thrive. And when I recognized that and I believed it with all my heart, I escaped. I escaped that cult and I escaped that life. And so I'm so in love with planning my best life. And I know that life is fragile, and I literally could die tomorrow, or I could die today, but I'm going to plan my very, very best life. And so when I escaped the cult, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can rewrite my story, right? This is so incredible. And in 2018, once I was able to get out of the rut of trying to make, paycheck to paycheck, I was like, what is it that I could do with my life that would fulfill me to my core? That would help me to utilize my full potential. And that was guiding other people to live their best life, because I felt like I had cracked the code, And it's something that is so powerful to me. And I just know that when people utilize their purpose instead of relying on motivation and willpower, they can move mountains.
Yeah. So and I have to say that over all the business people that I've worked with over the last 10 years plus, you are one that is, like you said, very planned out, and you know where you're at and where you want to go. Give us some ideas of what have kind of helped you get to that. I know you've worked with vision boards. I know you've worked with multiple different organizations. So what have you learned that could be a secret for the listeners out there that can help them as they start their 2021?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, very few people actually write down their goals. They have it in their minds, but when you can actually write it down and articulate your goals, that is super powerful. So I've always started by writing the things that I want to do with my life, my plan, out on paper. Then in 2006, The Secret came out, the movie The Secret. I'm a voracious learner. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible, right? Like actually planning out your life in the form of pictures, because pictures actually activate the right side of your brain, and words activate the left side of your brain. And then also, pictures activate your heart. They elicit an emotional response, so you have this amazing congruency. So that's where vision boarding has really been so powerful to me in my life. But I did that from 2006 all the way until, when I was starting my business and running my business, and I was still failing, right? There were so many areas of my life I wasn't doing well, and I said, what's missing here? What's this missing ingredient? I've got to figure this out. And so that's when I looked back on my life, when I escaped the cult, and I said, I knew back then what my purpose was. I could articulate that purpose so strongly. And so I said, that's what I need to do. I need to make sure that when I'm planning out my life, the foundation of my plan is the purpose. And so now I teach people to start with your why. Why is it that you exist? What is it that absorbs you, challenges you, frees you, brings you so much meaning and joy in your life? What is that? You've got to figure out that foundation first before you can really build a life that you love and that you can truly achieve those goals that you've set out for yourself.
Well, and you were kind of set up to be able to play the victim card for the rest of your life. And in the business that my wife and I have, I regularly have people come in and they try to play that card with me, and it just doesn't work. I'm not saying I'm helping them to overcome it, but they'll give me all the excuses as to why they can't do something, to which I just tell them flat out, whatever you want to do, but I'm not buying what you're trying to sell me right now. And so what is it, because some of your clients are going to be, or some of the people you're going to help are going to be in that. So what is, to overcome the victim card, what is that? And that's kind of a slang word maybe, or slang terminology. It's really not very flattering, but what is what's the starting point?
I think what you have to recognize, and this is something that I had to recognize, is that the situation that I lived in for those 10 plus years wasn't my fault. It's not my fault, but it's my responsibility to heal. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the scenario for everybody, whatever trauma that they've been in through their life, right? Sometimes it's not their fault, right? But it is their responsibility to heal. And so I think when you take that accountability into your own hands, you actually give yourself the power to get out.
Yeah.
And it's so key, so vital, is that you recognize, stop blaming, because you are in control.
I've talked to people that have that you've worked with over the past, and they've seen amazing results from when they started to where when they ended. So give kind of people an idea of the process that you kind of help people, businesses go through to get to a better space.
Cool, thanks. I love this part. So I walk them through, it's really a 3-part strategy. And the first part of the strategy is discovering their purpose, which purpose discovery is very deep. I mean, it can take weeks and months, but you got to start somewhere. You got to be able to start that articulation of what it is that fuels you. And then we really dive deep. We dive 7 levels deep to get to the core of their purpose. And then the second part of the strategy is to create goals that align with their purpose. So if you think about a foundation, right, you can build the foundation, but then if you build this house that doesn't even fit the foundation, well, you can't even use that foundation. It doesn't even serve its purpose of empowering you or stabilizing you. And so I feel like that's really where a lot of people fail. I mean, it's January, right? What day is it? January 13th and 12th? Yeah. Okay, my bad, thank you. I'm always ahead. Yeah. Anyhow, so basically people, like over 90% of people who do create resolutions for their life will fail. And that sounds super depressing, right? And it is. And that's why I've made it my mission to guide people to live their purpose. Because when you live your purpose and you create goals that have actually aligned with your purpose, there's so much power to that. Yeah. And when you're living your purpose, you're never going to quit, right? Because that's what you believe. It's a part of who you are. Yeah. So anyways, and so basically the third part of the strategy is actually living that purpose, so executing on the plans that you've created for your life.
Yeah, and I know, again, we own a trade school, and it's predominantly female, but my wife reached out to you and said, hey, would you mind coming in and teaching we have guest speakers, be a guest speaker. And she's a big fan of you, and and there were multiple of our students that was very impactful, that hour and a half that we gave you to speak with them. So anyway, on a side note, personal note, I just wanted to thank you for that, because it is inspiring people that need inspiration.
Thank
and
you.
I'm a big fan of coaching, so if anybody out there that's looking to really take it to the next level, having another set of eyes on things, I think that just and being held accountable, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's just such a big thing. So.
Huge.
How can people get a hold of you, Christine?
Yeah, thank you. So they can visit my website. It's www.mingming.com. It's spelled MINH-MINH.com. You can also find me on social media, ChristineMingMing.com. And you can find out about the different options that I have to help you live your life on purpose and with a purpose. Very good.
Good deal. Well, we asked you as well as we did Jeremy to kind of end us out with one of your favorite quotes that you have, and we've got it here on the screen as well. So tell us about what's one of your favorite quotes that you have.
Thank you. It's by Terry Orlick, and it's all about purpose. And it says, "The heart of human excellence often begins to beat when you discover a purpose or a pursuit that gives you a sense of meaning, joy, or passion."
Very good, and we agree with that. There's a reason why we had Christine on in our inaugural show, because it is a brand new year. We've had some challenges over the 2020, unlike we've ever thought we would ever have in business and life and everything else. So I wanted to have Christine on as one of our first guests to kind of help inspire everybody that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that there is that we can rebound, we can make new things happen in life and in business. And I encourage you to reach out to Christine. And she is a person that is going places, and we're excited for the direction that she's pivoting out of Teton Smart Security and moving on to to doing this with Envision Your Purpose. And so Christine, thank you for your
Thank you.
example in the community, and we wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
And once again, if you have any questions for Christine, put them in your chat box, and
Chat it up.
we'll get to answer that at the very end. So we'll do kind of a round table if we have any questions at the very end. So thank you very much, Christine,
Thank you.
and good luck with your business. So
Last, now this is where we're supposed to be going to a cut in my Volkswagen Bug. It is a 67 Volkswagen Bug and occasionally has to go in, and my good friend Josh Dalling is working his magic on it. So I'm going to apologize to our next guest, who is a very good friend of ours.
we will make
Sean
that
Perkins.
happen down the road.
Sean, I'll give you
So-
a ride in the Bug, but
this last part of every show that we're going to be doing is called Business in a Bug, and it is going to be a segment that we're going to have every single week. That we're going to take a business, usually from here in Eastern Idaho, and Tyler's going to be driving around with him in his '67 Volkswagen Beetle Bug, and I've done this with Tyler. It's absolutely going to be a fun segment that Tyler's just going to go out there and drive through the community and ask key business people in this area, what's been that's made them successful. And one of my true mentors in life and in business is Sean Perkins, and he's with a company called Advanced Ceramic Fibers. And we invited him to be our first guest, and he's gonna be the only one that's gonna be truly live and doing this. And we're gonna have Sean as a guest. There's been some things that his company has done that we're gonna interview him down later in the year and talk about his business. So Sean, tell us about the company you're with and where you've been and where you're going.
Okay, well, first of all, I have to just say thanks for inviting me, and great inaugural show.
Yeah,
I've been
thank you.
inspired today.
great, thank you.
And I am going to hold you to that. I
Yes,
just want
we're
you to
going
know I'm a
ice cream.
VW fan.
There we go, ice cream.
And my very first car was a '69 VW camper van
Oh,
that
I
I
wish
used
you-
to live in.
I wish you
So
still had that
I
one.
wish I had it too. I do. I know. So I'm the president of Advanced Ceramic Fibers. We are we're a research and development company that's focused on high temperature, ultra high temperature materials for extreme environments. So we got our start at the Idaho National Laboratory, where our technology was co-invented by our CTO, Dr. John Garnier, and it was originally made to be able to help prevent a Fukushima type event. If you had a loss of core coolant accident in a nuclear reactor, our fibers could actually help prevent that kind of thing from ever happening again. So he knew that there were some new applications for that. He wanted to commercialize it. So he retired from the lab, and the very next day he started the company. And we have been growing like crazy ever since. We're up to 11 employees now, and several contracts with NASA, the Department of Defense, the Office of Naval Research, and also with the Department of Energy, and a few others. And we're pretty excited about the trajectory of where it is that we're going.
Yeah, well, I am too, because I think because you guys are going to stay here in Eastern Idaho, it looks
Yes.
like.
Yeah.
In terms of employment, you're looking to hire some pretty high-level people to be a part of this. We've talked about a lot of different applications that could be used. You talked about, I think it was Duke or one of those universities. Was it Duke?
Johns Hopkins.
John Hopkins, yeah. You know, I mean,
Advanced Physics Lab,
yeah,
yes.
those guys back east, whatever.
That's right.
But where they were launching something around the sun, and your materials was going to protect then the satellite or whatever they were launching. And
Right.
So nobody else is doing what you guys are doing then.
Well, there's a few companies out there that are trying to develop some fiber reinforced composites for ultra high temperatures. Unfortunately, for most of them, the fiber technologies that they're using have a limited upper use temperature, and ours actually almost start where there's leave off. And so really what we're still in kind of the developmental stage. We still have a lot of work to be able to do, but this technology that Dr. Garnier helped co-invent is actually opening up a whole new area for research that is well beyond anything else that's ever been out there. So we're starting to talk about metallic carbide fibers and nanoparticles, which can reach temperatures all the way as much as 4,000 degrees Celsius, which is an amazing application.
What's the sun? I don't even know.
Well, it's over closer over a 10,000, so
Okay,
we're not quite there
Not quite
yet.
there, but
Yeah.
halfway there.
But getting closer to the sun allows for that Oberth maneuver that they were talking about,
Right.
that NASA was using to use, I guess, the gravitational pull of the sun to be able to launch a vehicle out into the outer reaches of space.
So then going to Mars, because that tends to be where people are trying to go, would that increase or decrease the amount of time traveled to Mars then?
Absolutely. And these same types of fibers could end up being used in all types of other applications to be able to help man a space station on Mars, or to be able to help with propulsion for engines to be able to get there of different kinds.
Yeah, because we talked about, I mean, the applications are endless. Like
There's a lot.
Engines, it could be used in
Lighter
small
semi
nuclear-
trucks.
Yeah,
I've always
I mean,
been philosophy. Power lines.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So what would be the sexiest thing it could be used for you?
Oh, wow. There's an awful lot of them. But one of the ones that, if I had my big vision and my big dream of what we could do, it would be to be able to, most of our research right now is focused on turbine engines,
yeah.
okay, because of the higher temperature that we can get to. By being able to help create a fiber reinforced ceramic that could either be used for increasing the temperature capability of a turbine engine, either whether it's going to be used in aeronautical applications or it's going to be used in ground-based power generation, to use that, or what is a new type of engine called a rotating detonation engine, which even has more power, more thrust, more efficiency. If we could create a micro version of those, I could think about a truly distributed energy system to where every home or every car, every vehicle, every commercial space could actually have a small turbine, which would actually be super efficient and to be able to run its own generator, produce its own electricity, and we could actually energize the world.
Wow.
Well, if you
that's
can't
super
tell the things that this company, Advanced Ceramic Fibers, is doing and the directions that they're going is just off the charts. Now, for years, as I've been the executive director at the Innovation Center, they were a tenant there until just recently. But one of the things that I've seen in the evolution of their company is that I've predicted that they're going to be one of the bigger employers here in Eastern Idaho. So now I'm going on video record. I've declared it many times, and I think that,
No pressure,
yeah,
guys.
and these guys, and mark my word here, everybody watching, that Advanced Ceramic Fibers has some big things coming here in Eastern Idaho. So tell us about the new facility that you moved to and what your vision is there.
Great. Well, I mean, we got our starts in the Idaho Innovation Center, and all of the great, wonderful benefits that are there with the SBDC, with SCORE, with Regional Development Alliance, with everybody that's just been a tremendous support. It was just a really perfect spot for us to be able to start our company and to be able to grow it, get us to this place now to where we are finally be able to move out into a new 8,000 square foot facility here in Idaho Falls. It's giving us the space that we need to be able to grow, add new reactor systems, and to be able to do a bunch of the research that we couldn't quite do in the small space that we were at the Innovation Center. So I'm just a huge advocate of the Innovation Center. It makes a
I want this
gigantic
to be a
difference in
commercial
being able
for
to
you,
help
not
out.
for the
I know.
Innovation Center, but I'll take
It really
it.
is. Yeah.
But we're excited about your new facility. You've got some room for growth, and just tell us about the kind of people that you're looking to, in the future will be bringing onto your company.
So we mostly are focused on engineers and scientists of one kind or another. Materials in particular are what we're looking at, but that also includes manufacturing engineers to help us with our production systems and our processes. Also with chemists. We have a chemist now that is working for us. We also are looking for scientists that are looking at materials and with particular expertise in the market segments that we're focused on. Right now, I know earlier you were talking about pivots, right? And and COVID has affected us also. Because of COVID, before COVID, we were very heavily focused on turbine engines for the aerospace industries, right? big demand for that, making great inroads, but because of COVID, you just saw a tremendous drop.
No one's flying
That no one's
anywhere.
flying
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And we're talking to our big engine manufacturers, and because of that, research and development, and in fact, workforces have been cut dramatically as a result. Having said that, there just isn't the demand for the research and development to be on the turbine engines. It's not because we don't need it.
Right.
It's just because they're struggling to survive.
Yeah.
And so also what we've seen is a shift or a pivot now into hypersonics, because that's a national priority.
Yeah.
Our enemies are starting to kind of kick our trash, if you want to call it that way, and they've focused very much on that, and maybe in some respects could be as much as 10 years ahead of us. So we've got some catching up to do. Fortunately for us as a company, most of the research that we're doing has not only application in the turbine engine industry, but also flows right over into hypersonics, into space applications.
So is there like national security type stuff that you guys have to deal with? Because I know the government's very interested in you and has awarded you grants and is watching you guys. So because with one of your comments, it makes it sound like there really isn't anybody out there that can do what you do yet that we
Right.
know of. So what type of security and things are you guys
So
do?
there are some limitations. Nothing that we're doing right now is what you would call top secret or
Right.
classified, right? But it is confidential, unclassified information, which is still something that is proprietary and has to be, and is somewhat restricted by some Department of Defense restrictions, and including the International Traffics in Arms regulations. So we're not able to share an awful lot of the information or data that we have accumulated, especially to anybody that is that is a foreign national. So we're somewhat limited on what we can explain or talk about. But eventually, when you think about materials research, right? Materials are kind of the basic foundational building blocks for new materials. And the point is to be able to get them into new ceramic composites that then get implemented into or integrated into systems that the military or commercial sectors use. And so that's where you start getting in, is when you take that basic fiber, then put it into a composite, and then you build a component out of it. That's where you start to hit that level of where it could be classified or in those different levels of classification, and then you can't talk about
Yeah,
it. But it gives us competitive advantages, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Yeah, so a question that I have is that there's one of the ways that you've helped, that's helped fund all of these researching that you've been able to do over the past 7+ years, is through some grant money that that people have. Tell us about kind of, we're going to be talking about it in future shows, about so we can make sure that every business out there can be looking at this opportunity. But give people an idea of what you've done to get to be able to do all this research, to get the products and the ideas where they've got to.
Okay. When we first started as a company, we looked at the opportunity to use equity financing, venture capital, that type of thing, to be able to assist us. It was still a little bit too early, and we didn't want to end up giving up the whole company before we were ready to really launch, because we knew we had some development.
And it's debt.
Fortunately,
And it's debt.
And it's debt.
Yes.
Yes, that's true. Well, it can be.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be. So we did utilize a little bit of debt to be able to help us, and the Regional Development Alliance was great with assisting us on that one. But there's a program that most of the federal government agencies are involved in. It's called the Small Business Innovation Research Program.
SBIR.
SBIRs. And there's different phases to it. Phase 1 is focused on feasibility studies. So you'll have an agency, say like the Office of Naval Research or the Department of Energy, will put out a solicitation topic 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 times a year, saying, here's a list of research that we really need to have done, right? These are priorities of one kind or another that needs to be done. And so we're looking for entrepreneurs with good ideas and have the capabilities to be able to conduct the research. So an SBIR phase 1 might be 6 months in length and maybe be worth $125,000, $150,000. It varies some. And then if you're awarded, and they're super competitive, but if you're awarded, you have a chance to be able to conduct that research. And then if you're successful and it looks like you can maybe go to the next level with a phase 2 application can then be submitted. If you're selected, That research could be anywhere from, a year and a half to 2 years. It could be worth anywhere from $750,000 to maybe as much as $1.5 million.
Over $1 million.
And then the intent is for, I guess, the government to invest in a certain way and in a controlled environment, in a way to be able to use innovative people, because oftentimes we know, government entities have limitations. Sometimes large commercial companies want to be able to keep everything internalized, so they really want to help the small business be able to launch and have an opportunity to be able to grow and find a pathway, not only to be able to commercialize or transition your technology, but to be able to help fund it. So this is all non-dilutive funding. You don't have to pay it back. There are limitations.
Oh, yeah.
Don't
You
get
gotta
me
follow all the
wrong.
rules.
There's a
Right.
lot of rules and a lot of compliance, but at the same time, it's worked extremely well for our company in being able to get us the funding that we need to be able to do the development to move us towards commercialization.
Absolutely. I would say that Advanced Ceramic Fibers is one of the key companies in the state of Idaho that has utilized this program. And hopefully there's some businesses out there that might be inspired by what Sean has said here. And because I can't say it's free money, you have to work for it, but it's a great way of not going into debt for a business that can help fund the research and stuff like that. And we're going to be talking about the SBIR program and doing business with the government in the future. So we're glad. Tell us about one of the awards that you were given a couple of years ago. I think it's a feather in your cap for Advanced Ceramic Fibers. And tell us about that award you received with the.
Probably the primary one has been with the Office of Naval Research, and it has been focused on the materials that we've been building, the silicon carbide fibers and what we call our Quad XC composite, which is made up of fibers in a special matrix that can handle temperatures above 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. That was the goal. Kind of the industry has always been topped out at about 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit, but the increases in efficiency to be able to just that extra 300 is dramatic, and both in terms of thrust and efficiency and fuel savings. But the Office of Naval Research has been an incredible partner in being able to help us get that, and now they're working on trying to take it to the next steps so that it is an advantage for all of the country.
This company is going places. They were given the award for Innovator of the Year for the state of Idaho a couple of years ago. Absolutely a great company, Advanced Ceramic Fibers. Thank you, Sean, for being here and telling us about your company. And hopefully there's some people out there that are going to be inspired by the things that Advanced Ceramic Fibers done. So we're going to wrap up. We're trying to keep our virtual power lunch to the lunch hour of 12 to 1. I want to throw out a little contest here that we can end the show with today. If everybody would go to our website. We talked to you earlier about visiting our website, talkin-business.com. And is there any questions that we haven't handled in the chat, Alan?
We got a couple.
We are of course going to hear this from Jeremy. How do you keep your hair so fantastic? His body, his everything. We just covered everything about Jeremy.
I did say he was a supermodel at one point.
Yep, he's got the radio, TV voice. He's just a man.
He goes to a great barber, Nick the barber, right? Nick Mason is a friend of mine. Also a guy that owns a barber shop. I appreciate a good barber. But so go to a barber. Support your barbers. How
Great.
about that?
And another question, Christine, after you felt the strong need to have the business succeed to save your marriage, what were some of the actionable steps that you took? Jump back in here. Jump back in here.
Yeah.
So
Great question. So, number one,
turn the mic on.
Turn the
Oh,
mic
my
on.
bad. Let me turn on this mic.
Now we're good.
Okay, so the first step I took was recognizing where I fell short. Like, what am I doing wrong or not doing right? So that I could recognize what I needed to do differently. And number one was blaming. I literally blamed almost everything on him.
It's the man's fault.
It's like,
Let's face
God,
it.
you suck, you know? And I recognized that in order for my business to grow, I needed to take full accountability. Like I couldn't say, you know what, you do 50% and I'm going to do 50%. It's like, no, I'm going to do 100% of my responsibility, which my responsibility was to reach out to more people, reach out to more contractors, so that I could help them with their security needs. And so I feel like those were the first 2 steps that I took, and it made a massive difference.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think Sean, her husband, would agree with that. So
Not this Sean, but
yes.
Yeah, different Sean.
she did tell him he was looking pretty good today.
Yep. So thank you. Is there any other questions that were asked there? We're
right.
good. Okay. Good. We're going to try and make sure we cover all those. So the trivia question for today. I've got the book that we've all talked about. Almost every
love
guest
this
that we've
book.
had on today. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. We highly encourage this book. Every person that we meet with at the Small Business Development Center, we encourage them as they're starting their business that they've got to read this book. The trivia question is, and Alan, if you'd watch in the chat box, on the website that we have, Tyler Price is wearing, in his bio picture, is wearing a hat. And the first person that can tell us what the logo is on his hat on our talkin-business.com site, I'm going to get this book too. So we'll get that book out to you, and we'll be. Oh man, who got it there?
What's
Eric Isaacson.
Eric Isaacson. Great job, Eric.
Go Eric!
I was
Yeah!
coaching him
Eric!
earlier today, and absolutely a great guy. I promise I did not give him that the
answer?
The answer to that. So good. Once again, as we wrap up today, let's thank our guests, Jeremy, BBSI. Absolutely encourage you to reach out to him. Christine with Envision Your Purpose. You can track her down at Teton Smart Security, the business that she's raised to the point where she can do some other things. And Sean Perkins with Advanced Ceramic Fibers. Absolutely a great company. 3 great guests on our first show. We encourage everybody to follow us on our website. We'll have a listing of all of our upcoming speakers. We're thankful for BSI. For
BBSI, but
BBS, what did I say?
BBSI.
And
That's
Volpine
okay.
Marketing. They've done a great job of putting together our website in the last week. He's done an absolutely phenomenal. Can't talk enough. He'll be a guest later in the month, Mr. Ryan. And Andex Productions, the Innovation Center, and the Small Business Development Center. We are here to help you take your business to the next level, and we will be focusing on that every single week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on our first virtual Power Lunch. Everybody, give us a thumbs up. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.